What's up, guys? It's Alex the Hypno Tech, and we have a video today I'm very excited to do. I've been wanting to do it for a while. We are going to be comparing, we're doing a versus video between Google and Apple, two tech titans, and their vision of how a mobile computer should be, a mobile tablet. We have the iPad Pro and the Google Pixel Slate, and we're going to be comparing them because I have had one or the other in my backpack at all times for this past year. And basically any mobile work I need done that I'm not doing at the office or at home, I am doing it on one of these things here. So I'm going to be talking about things I like, things I don't like, and hopefully this helps you if you're considering one of these devices. Now, one of the reasons why I purchased the iPad Pro 11 is for the size. I really appreciate this compact size. I keep saying compact over and over, but that really is what this thing is. It's really compact, really nice to hold, and it just overall is a great package. The Google Pixel Slate, on the other hand, only comes with this 12.3-inch screen. There's no option to make it smaller. There's no smaller version of this particular design. Unlike the Surfaces, which does have that Go model and also the Pro models, we don't have that with the Pixel Slate. So unfortunately, we do have this 12.3-inch display, which actually could be more comparable to a bigger iPad. The iPad, the 12-inch one, is more comparable to this. But regardless, this is our comparison for here. I just wanted to let you guys know there are two options for the iPad Pro, but there's only one option for the Pixel Slate. The first thing we're going to talk about is the display, because especially with tablets, the most important thing is the display. We're looking at this constantly. This makes or breaks your experience, especially if your eyes are looking on the screen for a majority of hours. You need a very nice, sharp, clean display. And Apple and Google, I am very happy to say, are two of the best ones on the market. You know, with Samsung. Samsung also makes terrific ones on their Tab series. But yeah, the Pixel Slate has a gorgeous display. The iPad Pro also has a very nice display. So for this 11-inch model of the iPad Pro, we have an IPS display. It's an 11-incher. It's 2388 by 1668 pixels for a resolution of 264 ppi. So the ppi count doesn't sound like a lot, but for something of this size, it's actually pretty solid. It is with Apple's True Tone display. So the colors on here, if you're editing photos and things like that, it actually is very, very good to use. Now the Pixel Slate's display is 12.3 inches and it's 3000 by 2000 pixels. So the pixel count seems bigger, seems higher, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a better display per se. It's a great display. Both of them, once again, are very, very good. But yeah, the brightness, I believe the iPad gets a little brighter, and the RGB reproduction seems a little better. But I do have to say, viewing movies on these two are absolutely great. I do love using both of them for media consumption. Now let's talk about the keyboards really quickly. For the sake of this video, we are only comparing these official OEM ones. So the official Apple keyboard for the iPad and the official Google keyboard for the Pixel Slate that they designed themselves in-house. Now, these particular keyboards are vastly different in how they're designed and their functionality of it, but they're also quite similar because you have to purchase them individually. Apple and Google do not give you a keyboard with your purchase. Similar to the Microsoft Surfaces, you have to purchase this after you purchase your tablets. And that's a little bit annoying. So we'll start with the Pixel Slate. The Pixel Slate's keyboard is $199. That is expensive. $200 for an additional keyboard. And I've already made a big deal about this keyboard. Once again, if you haven't seen those videos, we're not going to go too in depth about specs and stuff like that because I have had review videos done. Check out the description below for profile links and stuff like that. We have a lot of videos covering the Google Pixel Slate. So I'm not a big fan of the Google Pixel Slate keyboard. You can figure out why in those videos there. But number one thing for me is the form factor. I do not like this whole folio magnetic form factor here. It is very wobbly. You basically can only use this on a table, on a flat surface, nothing touching it, nothing moving it, and it occupies a whole boatload of space. Just look at the form factor here. just look how different the form factor is. Yes, this is a smaller tablet. I understand the iPad Pro that I have is an 11-incher, so it does take up less of a framework here. So I am not a huge fan of this. It also is really wobbly, really wobbly here, while the Apple one is very compact and held together. Apple's official keyboard for the iPad Pro costs about $180. And this doesn't offer a lot of protection, just like on the Google Pixel Slate's official keyboard. However, if you do want something very minimalistic and simple that keeps this form factor really thin, this is probably the only option out there. I've been looking, a lot of people online have also been looking for the best thin keyboard you can probably get. And this really is the best option out there, at least from my research. There is a constituent of people who dislike the typing experience on this particular keyboard. I am on the opposite end of that spectrum. I do like how it feels to type on this keyboard. It's a little mushy. The keys do feel different than what you would type on say, like a keyboard for a laptop. But I do like the layout. I do like the feel of this particular keyboard. My favorite thing about this keyboard, other than how thin it is the ability for me to type anywhere on the go. I can just hold it in my palm and I can still type. This compactness is something that the Google Pixel Slate unfortunately can't do. And that's what I'm looking for in a portable tablet hybrid device. I have a lot of work where I need to be on my feet or versatile or walking around with a clipboard, and I do like the ability to type on this. Of course, your situation might be different. In fact, the majority of people will just rest it on their table to type anyway. But in my case situation, I do really appreciate how this works. It's so compact and it's very steady. It holds it in place. When I'm typing with one hand, it doesn't wobble. That's what I really like about it. So I'm not a huge fan of the Google Pixel Slate's keyboard design. However, I am a pretty big fan of its typing experience. I love the rounded keys. I love how it has backlit keys. Those are things you normally don't see on these tablet hybrids. So I do like that. And the typing experience for these particular keys, they're excellent. I really appreciate the typing experience on this keyboard. Also, the trackpad, there is a trackpad because Chrome OS traditionally was more of a computing operating system, more for laptops, right? But the trackpad is great. I love trackpads on these devices. I've made many videos in the past with these 2-in-1 devices asking for more trackpads with these devices. And I know a lot of people out there who don't do that. You guys leave comments all the time about, oh man, what are you talking about? We don't need a trackpad for a tablet. I personally like that. And in a way, Apple is also kind of migrating to that. There's mouse support coming for iPad OS. So there is value to having a trackpad on a laptop/tablet. As far as battery life goes, neither of these two are really workhorses, I would say. The battery life is okay on both. I had to, if you can see here, I actually had to plug this one in. It just died on me. I had it charged like 2 days ago in preparation of this. And for some reason, the battery drained overnight. I don't know what's going on. I got to double check that. But yeah, battery life on these two are okay at best. They're a little bit about average. So nothing too crazy. It'll last you through your workday, but be ready to charge these up. Now let's talk about the operating systems, which are vastly different. They have very different approaches, and yet they're actually on the verge of landing in the center spot. They're both, Google and Apple started very far apart with what their vision of these devices should be, and yet somehow we're kind of migrating towards the center. iPad OS is a new operating system. It's a revamped operating system. We're leaving iOS on iPads and coming with iPad OS. I do have the beta version downloaded on here and I've been using it, and I do like it. Google, on the other hand, Chrome OS started more off as a computing Chrome browser, a baby version of Windows of sorts. It looked very similar to Windows in terms of the interface, but you really had limited capabilities. Then they added Android apps and Linux, and it just became a whole different ballgame. And with the release of these Chrome tablets, their interface kind of changed too. Once you detach it, it becomes more of a iPad style thing where all your icons are on one page. One thing I do have to say with Chrome OS that I personally don't like is I'm not a huge fan of its tablet interface. You know, they're constantly tinkering with it, but I don't really like having those icons plastered all over the screen. I prefer having that, you know, Windows style with the dock on the bottom. And Apple, on the other hand, is trying to get a little closer to what Chrome OS kind of was like in the past, where we're kind of having widgets on the front now. We have a longer dock that looks a little more reminiscent of, I want to say Linux, but not really Linux. It's more like Mac OS with that dock on the bottom. It's an expanded dock with iPad OS. So, you know, having that on the bottom there kind of spreads out some of your apps. You still don't have a way to hide those apps. They're still littered. Whatever you download, even if they're apps that you rarely touch and it's only for background stuff that you need, it's going to be on your homepage regardless. So I don't like how Chrome OS is migrating towards that. I do like how Apple is trying to migrate away from what they've been doing. Now, both of these devices use USB-C for power and for data transfer, which is terrific. The iPad Pro, however, only has one, which is still better than none because in the past we used Lightning connectors for iPads, so I'm glad Apple made that change here. With iPad OS, you will be able to plug in hard drives and stuff like that, so you should be able to do more work here. The Google Pixel Slate has two USB-C ports, one on each side, so it's good for charging. You can charge on either side of the table with the cable without wrapping it around. Great. I do wish one day Apple will add more on the iPad, but I highly doubt it. They like keeping it simple like this. And then the speaker setup is somewhat similar on here, and the way they have these speakers are actually better than I would anticipate. Apple has two on both sides on landscape mode here, and the Pixel Slate have two front-facing speakers on landscape as well. So it's nice viewing content in landscape mode. I do have to say the Pixel Slate's audio is a little muted, a little softer than I would like it to be. And the Apple iPad Pro is pretty good. It's pretty solid. Nothing too crazy out there, but it's good. It's good for me. And that about wraps it up for this video. And I know you're asking this question, which one do I choose? If I had to choose one, if I had to only pay for one of these devices, which one would I choose? Right now, I would pick the iPad Pro. And the reason for that is its compactness, its versatility. It's a little smaller, a little easier to carry and walk around with. The Google Pixel Slate, I love Chrome OS, but this one doesn't do it for me in terms of my personal usage. So there we go. Hard decision made. I will choose this one in my backpack most days. Once again, I'm Alex with Tech. Let me know what you guys think of both of these devices. I know there's fans of both. Let's keep it civil. They're still very cool devices with its own flaws, so neither of them are perfect. I'll see you guys next time.
And that's it. Be sure to subscribe here. Hit the bell button so you don't miss any of our videos. And check out our other videos right here. Until next time,